Hello and welcome to Maths with Mr Amison. In this video, we're going to be practicing how to find the area and circumference of circles. If you need to recap this topic, then please see Mr Chowdhury's video. I'm going to start with this example on the left. I'm going to show you it, then talk you through it, then give you a chance to copy it down yourselves. If you need to pause at any time, please do that. So in this example, the first thing I did for both the area and circumference is I wrote down the formulae. So the area of a circle is equal to pi r squared, which is pi multiplied by the radius squared. And the circumference is pi d, which is pi multiplied by the diameter. Those are really important to remember. Make sure you try and learn those. So the area in this case, pi r squared, pi multiplied by the radius. Now the radius is 8, so pi times the radius squared is pi times 8 squared, remembering that the radius is the distance from the centre to the circumference. So the area is pi multiplied by 64, remembering that we need to square the 8 first according to BIDMAS. So the area therefore is equal to pi times 64, which is 64 pi, because pi works just like algebra. If this was x times 64, we would have 64x. So it works the same way, we have 64 pi. And that, it would be a completely valid answer if it doesn't tell you what form to leave your answer in, or if it asks you to leave your answer in terms of pi. Now, if the question asks you to give your answer to 3 significant figures, it will either give you a value of pi to use, or you'll use the more exact value of pi on your calculators, and you type it in and give your answer to a certain number of significant figures, which I've done here to get 201 centimeters squared. Note the units for this are centimeters squared, because we have centimeters here as a length, and the area is always the length unit that you're using squared. For the circumference, our diameter is double that radius. Our diameter therefore is 8 times 2, which is 16 centimeters. Because the diameter goes from one side of the circle to another through the center. So the circumference therefore is pi times 16, which we can write as 16 pi if you want to leave your answer in terms of pi, which is a valid thing to do if it doesn't tell you to write your answer to 3 significant figures, or a certain number of decimal places. So the circumference in this case, if you are required to give a certain accuracy, is 50.3 centimeters. Copy this example down, make any notes on there that you need to, and then have a go at the question on the right. Now you've had a chance to have a go. Here we have the area again being pi times the radius squared, but our radius is not given. Our radius is half of the diameter that is given, so our radius is 4 centimeters. So the area is pi times 4 squared, which is pi times 16. So our area therefore is 16 pi centimeters squared, which we can write as 50.3 centimeters squared to 3 significant figures. The circumference is pi times the diameter. Our diameter is 8, so our circumference is pi times 8, which is 8 pi. And that, when you type that into the calculator, is 25.1 centimeters to 3 significant figures, because the circumference is a length. We're using centimeters, not centimeters squared. So here are 6 questions for you to try. Pay careful attention to what form I want you to leave your answer in. Have a go. So here are the answers to those questions. For the first question, we have a radius that is half of our diameter, so we have a radius of 1.5. So it's pi times 1.5 squared, which if I type into the calculator, I get 7.07 centimeters squared. The circumference is pi times the diameter, so pi times 3, which is 9.42 centimetres. The next question, question 2, you can see the diameter has doubled. And it's interesting the effect that has had on the area and the circumference compared to the first question. First, let's go through it. Pi times the radius squared. Our radius is 3 because it's half of our diameter. So we have 28.3 centimetres squared. Circumference is pi times the diameter, pi times 6, which is 18.8 centimetres. So the link between the two, the length has doubled here, so the length of the circumference has also doubled. Multiplied by 2, multiplied by 2. But the area hasn't multiplied by 2, it's multiplied by 4. If you want to investigate that further, that's a really interesting thing to investigate. What happens if you multiply the diameter by 3? What's the link between the two areas then? Something for you to have a go at and have a think about. But we're not going to focus on that right now. So for question 3, the area and circumference of this circle, the area is pi times 3 squared. Notice that's the same as question 2. Even though this looks different to this, the radius is 3, but the radius of this question was also 3. So we have the exact same circle. But this question asks you to give your answer in terms of pi. Pi times 3 squared, well 3 squared is 9, so pi times 9 is 9 pi. So that would be how we give our answer in terms of pi. And the circumference, pi times the diameter. The diameter is double the radius, so the diameter is 6, our circumference is pi times 6, or 6 pi. Question 4, to find the area and circumference of this circle, we have an area that's pi times 3/5 squared because the radius is 3/5, and we need to give our answer to 3 significant figures. So when I type that into the calculator, I get 1.13 centimetres squared. The circumference is pi times by 6/5 because the diameter is double the radius, double 3/5 is 6/5. So we have 3.77 centimetres. So 3 significant figures when you type that into the calculator. Question 5, we have an area of pi times x squared, because if our diameter is 2x then our radius is x, which we can write as pi x squared. And that is in terms of pi now as an answer, so we leave it as that. For the circumference, it's pi multiplied by the diameter. The diameter is 2x, so we have 2 pi x as our circumference. Question 6. The radius of a circle that has the same area in centimetres squared as the circumference. So the area is equal to the circumference. So pi multiplied by the radius squared should equal pi multiplied by the diameter. That gives us an equation. I can divide both sides of that equation by pi to get that the radius squared must equal the diameter. The radius squared is radius multiplied by the radius. And the diameter, we know, is 2 times the radius. So if that's the case, then the radius times the radius is equal to 2 times the radius. I can divide both sides of this equation by the radius, by r, to get that the radius is equal to 2 centimetres. So a circle that has a radius of 2 centimetres will have the same circumference in centimetres as area in centimetres squared. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that useful. Bye for now.